Good to see you.
To you.
It's been a minute since you've been on one of the shows with Greg.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, you're working class.
I am.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
total
that's right.
you're total working class.
Yes.
Look who decided to join us, Greg, Mr. Souza.
How is everybody?
Oh, awesome.
Fantastic.
Ready for Thanksgiving?
Oh, we got yeah, I am. We got a little bit of an audio.
Oh, let me go with the buds. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That'll that's a little like echoey and like
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a lot of background noise.
Something.
Yeah.
Something. Or like he was too far away from the mic or something. Buenos dias. What's up, Burby dude? Asymmetric ears. Hey, Ernie. Hey, Chris. Hey, good morning, all y'all. Ernie's in a foreign land, right?
Is he?
Real Kevin, I think so.
Mm.
Hey, dude, there's a new Leah Thomas. Oh, you like that idea? So a 10 to 12 minute format.
Oh,
I was thinking about starting every other day.
Mm-hmm.
With the same thing. Did you see that website? The what's it called? The quarter.
I saw the screenshot, but I haven't gone and actually looked at the actual website, which I need to do. Because you need a new layout, right?
Yeah, it's kind of this is the guy's layout right here. But sometimes he's in that center square. Oh wait, let's see. Does he? Oh, not on that. Let me see if I can find it. One where he's on that center, like that.
Okay. And then what do we have down the side? Just advertising.
Yeah, just ads and whatever, just stuff. Maybe stuff advertising the Sevan Podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sponsors. People who give money.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot?
It's a little bit better. I'd say we're halfway there. For some reason, it's a kind of like echoey, like you're far away from your thing, but it's not bad. Not echoey is too strong of a word. Tinny, maybe.
All right.
Hey, there's a new Leah Thomas. Did you see that? We got another dude who's entered the NCAA women's swim world and just dominating now. Just another one.
Is this the guy that's hit the NC2A record?
So he had three records. Yeah. Three. He already has 3 women's records. I mean, he's clearly a dude. It's just crazy how it's happening everywhere. I was looking at this one. Female. Look at this. Just happened too. Female for the female pool player championships. Hey, Caleb, what's up, dude? Female pool player Lynn Pinches forfeits final against trans opponent. So they put a dude in her. But check out this one. This one's wild. They had a lady who was going to fight in the Golden Gloves finals. And they didn't tell her she was going against a dude. So she pulled out an hour before the fight. They were going to have her fight a guy without fucking telling her. This is like some gladiator shit. Katia Bisonnet stated there was no information, not even specifying that it was someone who was born male. It's like everything was normalized. Female boxer withdraws from championship over transgender opponent. Not transgender, it was a dude. How many daughters do you have, Greg?
5.
Damn. Caleb, hi.
What's up, dude?
Hey, you wouldn't have a guy fight a girl either without telling him. You know what I mean? You wouldn't bring a girl in and have a guy fight a girl either. Wouldn't you be bummed if they put a girl in and you beat her up and they didn't tell you? That would suck. Hey, Greg, when that was going down with CrossFit, Did you want? I thought I remembered you saying you kind of wanted to see it happen so you could take it to the Supreme Court and see how the decision with CrossFit was that. Right or no?
It wasn't my issue, but I was willing to go there. I mean, what I didn't want to do is be held to a standard that other sports weren't.
Right.
Recognizing the whole thing's insanity. I just didn't see it getting any real traction. But in the case of our guy, whichever, I don't even remember the claim. She was of no significance because she didn't do well as a male, as a female, or as something in between. So
right.
her scores were never of any consequence. She needed a whole bunch more narrowing of a division to show up on the radar. And what was said publicly in a forum where there was a lot of jest created problem. And it all ended up settling at insignificant amounts of money. I think it was $50,000. A fraction of what it would have cost to go with the attorneys to make some kind of point.
But her placement kind of didn't matter as much as just the precedent it sets, right? Like all of a sudden you just have all these dudes.
No, the problem is that in a comment on a website, someone said, "Hey, one of our legal staff says, you just sign up for the one you were born as." And the problem is that she'd already been allowed to sign up either way.
Oh, right.
That was already this standing rule. That wasn't the official policy.
And impossible to figure that out when you have 400,000 people signing up.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue. With 400,000 competitors, there was one who had issue. And she had issue with a public statement, not a corporate policy. And so it all dissolved to nothing. It wouldn't have had existence had it not been filed in Santa Cruz County.
Oh, really? Because of the politics in Santa Cruz?
And by a gentleman who had sued us unsuccessfully many times.
Oh.
And this guy again.
Yeah.
This clown. Never successful. I got deposed by him countless times, and I kind of enjoyed
it. Was he not a smart man?
Not even close.
This is an interesting problem, says Mr. Watkins of the Heat One app. On one hand, you don't want to have people compelled to disclose their medical history. Disclose they are male. Yeah, I don't even know if that's medical history.
That's what I was gonna say. How is it medical history?
We could make it that.
Hey, wasn't there some rule like in the NBA for a while, or like if you had AIDS, you had to tell people, or in boxing, any sports where there's blood, you have to tell people if you have AIDS or if you have some sort of.
That was porn.
Oh, just porn. Okay, I knew it was some sport. Jake Chapman, Sevi, does Greg have much knowledge on Parkinson's disease?
No, I mean, but you can't help but notice some stuff, right? I mean, there's things coming down the pipe. We know that chronic traumatic brain injury is clearly predisposes you to it at the very best, at the very least. And there's chemical causes.
Meaning like you get Freddie Roach style, you get punched in the head a lot as a boxer, and 20 years later.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali, tragic. My maternal grandfather got off the bus at 19 or 20 years old, coming back from World War I, with a pronounced Parkinson's tremor that was quite advanced by the time he was 25, 30 years old. But he lived that all the way with that until he was 97. Ate his meals alone in the kitchen because he's sloshing coffee all over everywhere. And he could swing an axe, and he could drive a truck, and he could rope cattle, but he couldn't drink coffee or write a letter or speak well. And it was an amazing deficit that he just had to overcome. But he got mustard gassed, and it resolved itself with Parkinson's.
Resolved itself.
Holy shit.
Yeah, at 19, he comes off the bus with a shaky voice. Kind of sounds like RFK of current was the way it was explained to me and imitated. But by the time I knew him, you had to know him or you didn't understand what he was saying. But there are enough people in town that had been around with him since he was 19 years old that it worked for him. He built a community of people that understood and brought his coffee filled low in a big jar,
Filled low.
Adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to
do? We went to your kid's birthday party and you got a magician, and Avi wanted a magician, so we got a magician. We got a different one than you. We ended up getting a magician with Parkinson's disease. And there's this trick where you take a big glass of water and pour it into a little glass of water, and then into a littler glass of water, and into a littler, and then you pour it back up and show that like the same amount of water fits in all 4 cups. But dude, that trick was fucking a disaster. There was water everywhere. And afterwards, my mom thought it was on purpose. Like that was part of the trick.
It sounds like I'm not going to join you in laughter on that.
You can't. He's a good dude.
But that sounds like a test for Parkinson's, where at the end we got the beaker of how much water you sloshed.
Right. However much water you lost, that's how bad it is. What stage?
Yeah.
Does that kill you eventually? Parkinson's kills you?
I saw that in a quick bio on Ali, they said that he developed sepsis from his Parkinson's. I don't know what the path of the disease looks like, nor what its complications are. So my grandfather died in his sleep at 97. So,
Mike McCaskey, you're a good man, Greg. Meanwhile, Sevan thinks it's funny. It was amazing.
It's just the context it's in. It's like, the magic trick. It doesn't really work that well.
Well, it makes you think that that's the trick, right? Instead of it being trick glasses, you think, oh, he just shakes some of the water out onto the floor, and now it fits in the smaller glass. How was Africa?
we went to the Seychelles, and so in that dose, from that perspective, it was magnificent.
You went to Croatia, and you're like, hey, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And then you go to Seychelles, you're like, oh, this is it.
They're similar. I mean, Croatia was blue and wonderful and a lot of fish, and this was similar, but a little warmer and a little bluer. Yeah.
And it's not a spot for Americans. Tradition. I shouldn't say it's not for Americans. They just haven't found it yet. America hasn't found it yet.
There was a lot of German and even more Russian tourists, and so where we went, the few times we went into kind of popular areas, or when we were at the Four Seasons, Russian was kind of the lay of the land.
Better than Hawaii.
Yes.
Because of the weather, the lack of humidity, the water, the people, the service.
No, it was maybe hotter and more humid, and the water was nice, but I don't know. It wasn't hard to find a sandy beach that there were turtle prints on the sand and no one was there coming. And tremendously welcome. Vital to the economy, and the locals appreciate that. The tourism.
The service is ass in Hawaii, right?
Slow.
Yeah.
Too much of the population has been told for too long that they were exploited. That Captain Cook came and did y'all a huge injustice, and that this was a veritable paradise, a Garden of Eden, a utopia before we came along. But I'm listening and taking in that vibe while standing there at the Pali where King Kamehameha forced 10,000 women and children and men to jump to their death. 10 fucking thousand.
Insane.
And so I'm like, yeah, okay, that kind of fucking paradise.
Right.
Depends on which end of the Diddy Mao you're on.
Sarah Cox, look into stem cell therapy, she's saying, for Parkinson's. Did Greg's vagina fruit make... Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, that makes sense if something did.
Stem cell therapy for Parkinson's?
Boy, if there was that's consistent with the hope, right? And if it worked, I don't know if I'd be shocked by it. Probably not.
A couple last week when you were on the air, you held up I think what you were claiming is one of the world's largest seeds.
Yeah, I got one.
Is that the one that you held up? It looks smaller from here.
Yeah, it made it.
The vagina fruit. Oh, there we go. Now it's back to all its glory. Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, this is
gonna need a stand.
Yeah, that's I got a guy for that too. So, but it's cool. It's there's only 2 little islands where those things have been found, and it's the world's largest seed. You know, the big ones get 50 pounds. I think it's 26 kilograms and it grows high enough up that if it came loose and hit you, you wouldn't even have a chance.
Whenever I see stuff like that, I'm always curious if someone has successfully grown one elsewhere. Like a few times I've tried to grow a baobab here in Santa Cruz, and I failed every time. The African tree. I wonder if anyone's ever grown one of those somewhere. I guess if you were going to try it, you should do it in Hawaii. Similar climate.
Yeah, I was trying to find if anyone had successfully grown tamarack on the Pacific coast, and you get down a rabbit hole of someone with a claim and other people going liar, and it might have been indoors part of the time. And funny, that's not the same tree. Gets weird.
I saw something the other day that I'm about to show you, and what's interesting is I saw a parallel between this and broken science, and it's not a good parallel. And this is from the governor of New York, which is a highlight reel of idiocy. Are you familiar with her, Greg?
No. Oh, the governor of New York.
Yeah, the chick. Yeah, she's a complete moron. And if I were to kind of sum up broken science, if I were to tell someone about it, I would call it a hedge or an inoculation against bad thinking. If someone said, "Well, what are you doing this? Why are you going out in March to listen to Greg's talk?" And I would be like, "Well, because he's offering up the tools so that you could look at something and see if you're being duped by it or not. Give you the tools to kind of pry into something and see if it's telling you the truth or not." And boy, it looks like they want to do the same thing. I'm going to play this clip for you, and let me know what you think. She wants to offer up tools also. Here we go.
You have to see this. The governor of New York just announced basically a ministry of truth that is going to be put into public schools. Check this out.
Today, I'm directing the director of Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services to develop media literacy tools for K through 12 in our public schools. This will teach students
media literacy tools
and even teachers to help understand how to spot conspiracy theories and misinformation, disinformation, and online hate. Start talking about what we're seeing out there. Give the teachers the tools they need to help these conversations in school. And by teaching younger New Yorkers about how to discern between digital fact and digital fiction, we can better inoculate them from hatred and the spread of it, and help prepare them for a very fast-moving and often confusing world.
The left loves to use fancy buzzwords to make it sound like they're doing something nice, but in reality, we know what it means when she says that they're going to root out conspiracy theories and teach these kids not to fall for them. It means that they're going to frame the right as conspiracy theorists, as the purveyors of...
Crazy, right?
Wildly transparent. Hey, we're at a huge divide, and it's in part intellectual and it's in part ethical, and this is why we frequently find ourselves trying to sort out the stupid from the evil, and it's hard to do because you find crazy mosaics of both features in all kinds of individuals, but they go hand in hand and they serve one another. And so we need a reduced cognitive capacity to get you to swallow some just blatantly and obviously evil. And there's blueprints for it. The socialists do this. This is what happened in Europe, China. Think of the amount of disbelief. Look at the threat that Falun Gong is to the PRC, and for what? For honesty, perseverance, kindness. Come on. What are those things? The enemy of the good? Look at this Look at this axis we're up against. Look at the alliance of China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and radical Islam. And look at the collective ethics that those entities express. China got all upset, the left got all upset because Bumblefuck got conned into stating the obvious that Xi Jinping's a dictator. Who do we serve by pretending like that's not true? Our people? His people? What is that, like pouring acid on the fucking guy? Is that the whole thing? It's like Wizard of Oz bullshit. He's got them thinking they voted for him. We're going to reveal that there's a fix-in? It seems crazy unethical not to, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't the whole world open a window and yell out, he's a fucking dictator? What the hell else? I mean, I'm not saying that's even a bad thing, but why do we have to pretend? Because we have to pretend, because the next step is dictator good. There's no difference between men and women. Yeah, okay. I know what you mean. I'm not going to ruin your dinner party, so I'm just going to shut up here. My 10-year-old daughter says they don't even have the same privates. What do you mean they're not different?
Right.
Like, wow. I mean, is it more complicated than that? No, it is not.
Mm-mm.
No, it is not. And so here we are. We're going to pretend like this guy's not a dictator. Why again?
Mm-hmm.
To further his fucking cause. That's all. We're going to get along better if we pretend like he has legitimacy.
Isn't that something? Go ahead.
This is something you can recognize about Germans, but not Chinese. Is it like that? They're a fucking dictator of the worst sort.
I feel like that there's this evolution that human beings go through. There's nice people, and then once you graduate from being nice, you go to a person with values and morals. And when you're not, and when you're nice, you just love everyone. A dictator, a ruler with total power over a country, typically one who has obtained control by force. There's this left. It's love everyone, a peace no matter what. Don't kill anyone for any reason. And then, of course, the people that they hate and who that's not true about is the people who don't agree with them, which is the irony there, right? But once you evolve as a human being, you're like, wait a second, love everyone, but I do have some values and some morals. I don't want to bring pedophiles into my home. You know what I mean? Like, you start realizing that that's not true. You don't love everyone. You're not going to you're not going to feed your mom to Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a lie. You're living a lie, and that's when you have morals and values, and you've kind of evolved as a human.
Yes, someone's got that 5-step progress by which success or wealth creates this unaware class that becomes weak, right? I'm not. You've all heard this. It's like the 5 steps. But
maybe Caleb will find it.
Yeah, it's out there. 5 steps of history or something, and it's how the success breeds a weakness that creates failure, that creates hardship, that breeds more strong men for a better society. That gets so good that it crumbles.
Hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things. Like, yeah, of course. But trippier yet, I think that liberals decay into socialism, and socialists quickly come to a point where part of the policy becomes, we got to do something about these fucking Jews.
Metaphorically speaking, but right?
Like gassing them and shit. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
The line you use, stacking bodies like cordwood. Basically, hey, we have to kill
stacking
everyone.
bodies like cordwood.
Yeah.
What happens is the individual has to subjugates to the collective vision of the whatever you imagine the whole to be, and that becomes the greater good. And that's when people end up stacked like cordwood, and socialism is particularly adept at that. So while we're all watching Republicans looking for Nazis, the Democratic Party is going to turn into fucking Jew killers. How? Supporting of Hamas in Iran. That kills Jews. And by the way, the intent in killing the Jews, it's not just to eradicate the Jews, it's the fine sharpness on Western civilization. It's the thing that makes our culture successful, dominant. It's why we don't live the way they do. They're all living under dictatorship.
The other thing that's interesting is what is the implication of the fact that San Francisco cleaned all its streets out for that dictator? They found the resources and the money to sweep everybody off to the corners and build in some fencing overnight. And then the crazy part is that when Gavin came out, he goes, "Did we clean everything up because we have the leaders of China here?" Well, yes, we did. We want to represent. So then when you take that and you couple it with our, media training for our K through 12, it seems to me like we're building up this system where the thought police will come around and take you away. And the thought police is actually going to be your children, because they'll be more media trained to understand what you can't understand. And if you have an opposing thought, you become the enemy. And then that enemy at some point needs to be round up and placed somewhere because they're evil, trained by
the extent to which the streets were cleaned and of what they were cleaned, and the fact that state that was addressed is the permanent long-term state for everyone. This makes that effort really no different than the Potemkin village story, right? Where the facade of a village off in the distance was brought so that the leader could look out and see the prosperity, and there were cutouts painted way off in the distance. And the brutality of that, the Aesopian savagery of a notion, carries exactly to this.
It reminds me of the stories when people visit North Korea. Hey, follow us through our carved out spot, that everything, that's exactly what it is, but it's San Francisco. So the fact that you could even make that comparison, even in the slightest, has to be a huge red flag.
And it's just out in the public for everyone to see.
And they're admitting it.
Yeah, they're admitting it. It's not even.
The things that we see as defects in the Gavin Newsom methodology are, in fact, its chief virtues on behalf of those that created them. It's one of these, everything that's wrong is wrong on purpose. Homelessness isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for continued political control and more money running through the coffers, and it's done exactly that. When we watched the Seattle Dying, I had Jeff Kane do a bit of a dive on what the homeless industry looks like. And there's a couple of gals making billions of dollars. Because I'm like, how is it they're spending $350,000 a fucking head? Who's getting that money? Well, you didn't have to look too hard to find out who is getting that money. And it's enriching the hell out of people. It's industry. It's the homeless industry. It's part of the disease economy. Pick the worst parts of what's going on at the border, the worst parts. And I'm telling you, there's a team rooting for it that knew that would happen, Biden and company. Epoch Times called out the border crisis as the bluification of Arizona and New Mexico, Texas, and Florida. What, 7 years ago? 8 years ago? Nothing new. It's just trying to create more Democrats. The problem they have is that the last crew that came through the border adopted some values consistent with the success they've found, and they're not having it anymore. And those are black and brown people that have gotten off the plantation. And so you got to let in another crop of people that will knee-jerkly, reflexively vote blue until they get jobs and go from one pickup truck to 5 and start hiring people to work for them. And then their kids won't have anything to do with that bullshit. The impoverishment that's required for leftist ideology fails with time and success. And so you need a new crop of young, stupid people. And some of them are temporarily stupid. They'll believe things in their teens and 20s and 30s they won't in their 40s or 50s with any luck. You know, my dad said that, I'm taking up too much time here. My dad said that the left was, in fact, the Dems were the party of the disadvantaged, the have-nots, the downtrodden. And the right is indeed the party of the privileged and the successful. And they both have proven vehicles for raising their numbers, for increasing their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
How's that for a compromise? The the Dems are the parties of the have-nothing, and they're going to make sure that there's more people that have nothing.
Keep that pipeline full.
Hell yeah. Yeah, your poverty is their control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're raised as a kid in a Democrat family, what you're taught is that Democrats are for the poor and Republicans are for the rich. And then at some point you get older, and if you're lucky, you meet someone like you, Greg, and you realize, oh, they forgot to tell you the Democrats are the party that keeps people poor, and the Republicans are the party that gets people rich. They had it. They had the wording wrong a little bit. And no. By the way, no rich people wants other no healthy rich person wants to keep other people poor.
Check this out. Yeah, and in fact, the leftist ideology is an individual basis. You the impact it has on you, my nephew, niece, or sister-in-law. The impact it has is tantamount to avowed poverty.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's just like you're gonna be broke ass, fucked up, have nothing, thinking that's how the world works.
And hey,
What
dude,
a
you can walk
sad-
around and
And
ask.
a victim of it. People
yes.
can get your ass ripped off and never be able to create a fucking thing for yourself thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask 9 out of 10 young Democrats, do you want to be rich? And they'll say no. And I'm not, by no means am I suggesting it should be your sole goal.
I'll
but
just stick up for business people, and I really believe that many of them are trying to find a uniquely attractive opportunity for other people. Typically, that shines them in some positive kind of light as a coder or whatever the ego element is. But being fast to grab from the pile isn't what I've seen. Doesn't associate with the people I've seen make a lot of money. It doesn't look like greed.
What's it look like?
Well, let me just speak to one friend who's serially a billionaire, and when he wrote code better than yours, he got off on it. I mean, really, like supercharged him. And when you're successful at that, serially, it also rains money.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Philippe Kahn's compiler ran on your desktop and produced better results than Microsoft's compiler would on a big frame computer with less errors, he was developing this shit, welding circuit boards in a car wash with it, and produce something better. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Come here illegally. And was
From where?
soldering circuit boards from France.
Wow.
After having toured Europe on a motorcycle, including gone through all of Afghanistan as a teenager, become a karate champion, PhD in mathematics. He came to this country and he was soldering circuit boards in a car wash when he developed Turbo Pascal fundamentally.
I just want to throw this out there too, by the way, for people who don't know the story. I'll tell this really quick. Greg used to train this guy. Greg would ride his bike up to this guy's house, and the guy would say, come to my house at 7 a.m. and train me. And so Greg would go there, and Greg would get paid by the hour. And by 5 o'clock, maybe Philippe hadn't come down. So Greg's now been up there for 10 hours. And while some people would have sat around and complained, and we've all seen people like this, Greg did not do that. He set up a makeshift office in the gym using plyo boxes and whatnot, and got busy. He didn't scroll through his fucking Instagram. That's where he started doing some of his most prolific writing and deep dives into the stuff that we call the CrossFit Journal today. There are these people that want to fucking complain and not take advantage. Speaking of opportunity, and he took that opportunity, and he doesn't tell. I've heard him tell the story a dozen times or 3 dozen times. He never tells it like, and no offense to these people, he doesn't tell it like it's some life lesson or like you boys should be doing this. He doesn't tell it like a Navy SEAL. He just tells it like matter of fact. So I'm fucking sitting there. I got my pen and paper. So I just set up a desk and start writing. And like, man, you got to glean that. There's opportunity everywhere.
My training was $75 an hour, and I didn't want to make house calls. So the good woman, Sonia, dear friend of mine now, doubled my rate and charged me from portal to portal, leaving the house to getting back in the house. And so my drive time and the sitting there 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day was being paid at $150 an hour. And very little of that was training. And so I knew I was being paid for something beyond the training. Let's give life to that. And a whole bunch of the journal material is written there and at the Ugly Mug right near your house. Probably 80 to 90% of the early work was done in that environment, waiting for Philippe or sitting in the coffee shop. And it was a hell of an opportunity to finally have someone paying me to sit around and work, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why
person has that story where they don't. I've told the story before, but it was this guy I know who, or I read an article about in Smithsonian one time. He was an artist and he was a marathoner and he was what's a bug scientist? Etymologist? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
And he was an etymologist. What is it called?
Enta with an N. Entomologist.
Entomologist. And so what he would do is he would go to his cabin. And he had a 13-mile route, and at like every 7 miles, he had some bananas or some ground up moldy cheese, and he would leave it around, and he would run with his book, and he would get to these stops, and there would be bugs at these areas where he would make like these concoctions. He would draw the bugs and then run another 7 miles, and his whole life was like that. Like everything was working towards the common goal. So he was a Harvard professor that started talked about entomology, but he's also an artist, and he ends up publishing a book. I think you actually maybe bought me the book on bugs that he drew. And it's like all of these that I swear to you, that is a common theme. Successful people, their whole life is kind of routed around what they know and what they do. Are you feeling that, Greg? What I'm saying? It's like a tight circle. Like you're not going to the Seychelles to you're going there to decompress, but the whole time you're thinking about broken science. You're using the opportunity of the clear mind, the sun, the new environment to get a fresh perspective on what you want to do. I guess it's easy when you're chasing your passion.
Yeah, it's I left with some PDFs that I have habitually returned to over several years. I find myself referencing either in conversation or in writing something or in trying to recall a concept in its exposition, frankly, where it's clearer than I'm able to muster up. And I brought those with me and probably read them a dozen times each, half a dozen articles.
On this most recent trip.
Yeah. If there's something that you're returning to over and over and over and over and over again to help in your exposition, maybe it ought to be a little closer to hand than something you're pulling up on the screen again. And I got exactly that out of it.
Good morning, Coach Sevi Souza, cousin Caleb. Oh, you have a cousin named Eaton?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Damn, I love it when I have to explain stuff to Caleb. That's awesome. That's very rare. Very rare.
Caleb too.
I was very confused.
Burnt Lumber, holy cow. Thank you so much. Very generous. Happy Thanksgiving, gents. Welcome back, Greg Glassman, Burnt Lumber.
Wow, Burnt Lumber. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
And one quick thought on kind of what we were just discussing about. I also think that there's this we have a hard time holding to emotions at the same time. So what I mean by that is like if you get really upset or frustrated about your situation, but if you immediately go to gratitude to like what you're thankful for, it's hard to still remain upset. And I think that when we have this trumpeting of the victim mentality, it's hard to find opportunity. So it's almost like those two conflicting things. So if you're somebody who knows that there's a lot of opportunity, that you're a go-getter, that you want to contribute, you'll always find opportunities to do so or to advance your work. But if you're with a victim mentality that everybody's against you, the world's out to get you, you're not going to have that same mindset of how could I find opportunities to better myself or contribute. You're going to sit there and think, I'm owed something. I'm frustrated by this. This isn't turning out the way that I thought, and there's nothing I could do about it. I'm helpless. And so I think that that's part of the two differences, like when we don't have any heroes in America anymore, or the heroes are, trans swimmers and things that are being pushed.
George Floyd.
All of that is just reminding you and telling you and imprinting upon you like, hey, there's victims. There's a ton of bad stuff in the world, and there's nothing you could do about it. You're just a victim of it.
Yeah, all of it is really comes out of downplaying the significance of character. What it does in perseverance, overcoming heroics, sacrifice, charity, all those things. It is I think at the heart of being a victim it suggests the inability to have character, to dwell on it, to focus on it, snap out of it for God's sakes,
I think
and reground yourself in something more important than what happened to you.
I think that's why even though I'm not a Christian or religious person myself, I find value in religious people because I admire their character, their values, their steadfast, their conviction.
The extent to which you're bought into your victimhood, it's a variant of narcissism, solipsism, sensory deprivation. You're internally focused, and that's always at a detriment, no matter how that happens, even through stinginess, But self-absorption leads to fucking misery. And victimhood is it's probably one of the easiest ones to inculcate. Teach your kids they have no chance. Why? Because you were born with a vagina. You're fucked. It's just going to be that way. Sorry. The color of your skin. Black guy's never going to get ahead because of the white guy. And you get people believing that, and it's profoundly debilitating. We see it all around us.
So you could have been waiting in Philippe's gym, pissed off, and you might have that thought like, fuck, this guy hasn't come down in 2 hours. But then at some point you have to be like, hey, I'm done playing the victim. Time to get to work. I see an opportunity.
Dude, I was being paid $150 an hour to make the world a better place.
Right.
And I'm thankful for that. I thanked him for that opportunity. I wish he could have kept the clock rolling and just had me on 24 hours a day.
Yeah, you said something important. You were like, I was finally getting paid, and you're like, it was incredible because I was getting paid to do the work that I was doing now. He didn't see it as like, oh, I'm being paid to sit here, which that's that victim mentality, or this is a waste of my time. All of a sudden, Greg was like, hey, now I'm going to do the work and continue my efforts, but I'm also being paid for it. That's a great setup.
Let me tell you what else he would do. He would pick my brain and get my opinion on something, and then find someone famous in their own right for holding a different opinion and bring them out.
Oh, and watch guys like cockfights?
Sleep experts, trainers. There were some great encounters. You read a whole book just on that shit.
That's amazing.
I remember talking about some sleep expert, and like you found him in People magazine. Look, you should read this. This is something you should learn about. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I come back to him like, I don't know, man. All my bullshit detectors are going off. So a month later, I get to the garage and got my table, my door that's set up on the water bottles, and I got water bottles in plastic for a desk. And they work off the supply and keep rebuilding my desk and pulling from it as shopping dictated. But there's a guy sitting out in the garage with a suit on, and he's not really saying anything, and I'm just kind of tripping on him. I finally had to ask who he was, but he was the guy from People magazine waiting for Philippe.
Oh shit.
So he just had this fucker out, and he's sitting there in a suit for hours, and there's no chairs, just my water bottles, right? Yeah, the sleep guy. And he goes home a week later in disgrace.
Yeah. He probably didn't take Waiting for Philippe as well as you did.
Dude, Wynton Marsalis, all kinds of people. The music world, it was a who's who of folks.
Who would come?
He had Philippe made a jazz recording with him on saxophone, and it had all kinds of fucking legends in it, right? Living legends on the instruments, and he recorded in his house. And he said, I go, wow, man, you got to be really good to play with them. He says, no, it's just the golden rule. And I go, the golden rule? What's that? He goes, the guy with the gold makes all the rules.
My mom taught me, but yes.
So that's why they were waiting in the garage. You pay anyone enough, they'll wait in the garage.
Yeah.
If they're smart.
Greg, I'll be in Tempe December 6th through 10th from Vindicate. Spicy margaritas on me if you're in town.
It works. I'm 8 through 12. I got the Portland kids coming down.
In Tempe? In Scottsdale?
In Scottsdale.
Oh, that's cool. Of December.
Yes,
Carolyn M., the self-help book. Greg Glassman. I think of intelligence and wisdom as the ability to see other perspectives and to be open to change if proven wrong. What do you see as a prominent changed opinion in your life? Thank you. I'm reading that as like if you had one position and something caused you a shift. What was that?
Yeah, I'd have to think about that and offer something profound. But I'm always.
Were you ever liberal, Greg? Were you ever hippie? Were you ever like no matter what, love everyone, peace, love?
I got a peace sign in cast iron on a chain when I was like 11 years old, and wanted to grow my hair long and play the guitar and get some pussy. And my dad didn't want to have any of that, so he got me an accordion, and I had a crew cut with a peace sign. You know.
That's amazing.
None of that. The accordion fixed me. Like I to get out of the accordion, I had to promise to never play the electric guitar or drum.
Even when you were an expert in the plant medicinal plant field, you didn't have any hippie notions?
I discovered National Review in 1982, so I'd have been 26 years old, and I was far from matured or growing up, and so I was somewhat a hellion, a problem citizen, perhaps, and found National Review and New Republic at the same time because they were frequently referring in National Review to shit that appeared in the New Republic. So I got brought up intellectually, listening to both sides. On that subject reminds me of our commenter and the question that I'm supposed to be looking through as to what its ranking is my problem. How would I rank the thing? But yeah, thank you for that. But I read in National Review very early, Buckley said that the only reason for opening your mind was to close it on something. And the question reminds me of that. And so I think it's important to have an open mind to come to realize things like the absurdity and the shitty pretenses of the national public health response, international health response to COVID, those kinds of things. I think it requires an open mind to see that, to weather the dismissal of the things that we've been through as conspiracy theories, Hunter Biden laptop, collusion, on and on. Look what we've been through. Origins of the virus, right?
What's the battle? Someone's own personal discernment against the popular narrative.
I'll give her one. Here's an easy and cheap one. I thought that the CDC was woefully ignorant around chronic disease, but probably had its shit figured out on the infectious front. Now I realize it's all bullshit too. How's that for a big?
Oh,
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
Did you always know that the
The
CDC
notion,
was
the
wrong on
notion of
food
deep
because-
health. I was slow to believe deep state, and I got it proved to me through deep health. How's that for a startling awareness? Had no idea there was a deep health.
Did you always know it was corruption right away, or did you just think that they missed the mark?
I've too often thought I was smarter than everyone else, and the thing is, I just hadn't gotten a paycheck.
Oh,
They failed to bribe me. I thought I was smart.
The
right.
golden rule.
Yeah, it just wasn't on the take.
So finally, someone's like, hey,
Swear
Greg,
to God, the whole CrossFit thing. I'm like, man, I am some kind of fucking genius to come up with this shit. Because I got people reporting me for teaching old ladies to squat. Like, CSCS, you're fucking busted. I'm writing a letter. Get your certification revoked. I don't have one. Teaching old ladies to squat. There were people that made war for me over that. They have to hide them. Take them over to a rarely used machine in the corner. It looked perverted as hell. What are you doing? I'm having her squat. It looks like she's just standing up off the shoulder press machine over and over. What she is, I lowered the seat. If anyone looks over, sit down and start pressing it,
wow.
Honest to God. In Capitola.
Greg wanted a peace sign, and his dad got him an iron cross.
You got me a peace sign. Yeah.
Had an accordion.
I must have looked like a fucking idiot with it on.
No, you look great. Extra sloppy. Did 2 on, 1 off idea come from observing the effects of CrossFit on hormones? I'm not sure what that means. Is that like a steroid protocol? I'm not sure. My doctor noticed a tendency for CrossFit people to have both. I don't know what that is. SHBG. Where did two off, 2 on, 1 off come from? It was 3. It's 3 on,
3
1.
on, 1 off. Yeah.
3 on.
It allows me. I can get into a rhythm where I have ability to kind of cover all of your capacities to a point where you clearly need a day off. And where I've been working, I've been contracted for like the Canadian military to develop some 5 on, 2 off programs. The problem with 3 on, 1 off is that some Saturdays you have workouts and others you don't. And the Canadian military was basically working at 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. The military has weekends off. I don't know if I just gave away a Canadian national secret or not, but there's no one home on Saturday.
They don't work on weekends?
Yeah.
Don't attack
they
on
don't-
Saturday.
Yeah, they don't work weekends. But so it had to be, and there was no way, and I fought hard for it. And so what I had to do was to hit the same intensity that could be recovered and allow for sustainability. I always thought I'd get to use that someday in a sentence where it made sense. But to create a sustainable atmosphere, I had to throw in things like these 3K and 5K runs, and I said it's like the iceberg lettuce. It was anything else was just going to fuck you up. And so they were getting the same load over 5 days that you were in 3, filled in with some endurance shit, which they were overly fond of anyways. It felt a little corrupt, but there was a corruption of the potential in going to 5 on, 2 off, trying to conform your physiology to the work week. And so you just made it work that way. But what you'd see is there were 2 days you could take out and you had better programming.
Better programming or better results? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, you're better programming because you're going to get better results. 3 on, 1 off is better than 5 on, 2 off. It really is. I can't commit to you go to any place where I was at the helm to feeding workouts. You take any of those 3 days and then you take 2 other days from the next week and throw it in there where you've gone 5 like that without a day off. And it starts to look like the fucking games. Or they learn the art of the sandbag. And that's to pace yourself. And you can see people do this in a bodybuilding gym on 3 sets versus 5. You can feel it in yourself. As soon as you tell me you're getting 5 sets out of me, I'm peeling back. It's the very next thing that goes through your fucking head before you even heard what the exercise is or what happens next. You go, I'm going to be shorting this fucker. You have to at 5. 3, you can get 3 sets your all.
The recovery of young people versus older people is amazing also.
The 15, 12, and 9 and 21, 15, 9 are based on kind of the acute understanding of the psychology and the impact and the physiological fade rate on dropped sets and things of that sort.
That's why when you reverse them, you head fuck people.
Get to that glass at 21.
These are going up.
It shows in the numbers. The look on their face.
Like Fran backwards as opposed to forward.
Remember, too, the beauty of this thing was on the unsuspecting. They'd look at you at the 21 reps and like, fuck you. You know, like they caught on. But it's too late. I've just done 21 45ths of the fucking thing. The next one's 15. This was triply fucked. So maybe this is only doubly fucked next round. Thing is, it's similarly fucked. And that 21 to 15, 15 looks like 21 at the second go round with a couplet. You almost take off where you started. It's like it's like rep number 22. But now you're crossing the halfway point, so you just go with it. You just eat more shit because you've almost finished the serving. And it does not translate the other direction. It is a non-abelian process.
Here's some hot shit, Greg. Magdalene Eggert, which I think validates her sense. Accordion is definitely a vag magnet.
Yeah.
I like her more every day.
I know.
Yeah.
She's very concise with her words, too.
It must make chicks show up with steins full of beer with the lederhosen and shit. I don't know, man. But Papa, I could tell wasn't getting it.
Jeremy Flatter, Greg, when is your non-compete up?
August
of 2024?
Yeah, coming right up.
Zach, I love the way Greg speaks. Could listen to him talk about anything. Greg, are you aware that maybe I've never looked at I've never transcribed anything you've said and looked at it, but are you aware that maybe your ordering of words or your juxtaposition of words is different than normal people? That you speak maybe I don't know what it is, but if I were to describe it, I would say that you're comfortable putting words adjacent to each other that maybe other people aren't.
I've enjoyed that fact of writing, and like I had a notebook full of 3 to 5 letter words that I didn't know what the fuck they meant, you know, and they're just gems. I wish I could come up. I'll look for that list somewhere.
So you would hear a word. How did you come up with that list? You would hear a word, write it down, and then be like, I'm going to know that word and start incorporating it into my speech.
Yeah, what the fuck is flens? You know, FLENS. Like, it's a simple enough word, but and then you look it up. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to use that. Academia has flensed the validation phase from the scientific method.
To strip the blubber or skin from a whale.
Yeah. Now, it sounds like in the sense of stripping the blubber, but remember, the whale was killed for the blubber. That's what we were after. It wasn't the meat. That was the source of lighting in this country forever, and in Europe. Whale fat burned in lamps.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. That's a tough time to be a whale.
Yeah, but half of what was written once upon a time is written under whale blubber light.
No shit.
Yeah.
Trevor, Trevor Pana, I don't know why I keep having to say his first name over like it's going to help me. Trevor Panakiski.
Trevor P.
But you're Polish. Hey, Greg.
Panakiewski.
Hey, Greg, I'm still learning about the oils that should be used and not used for cooking. Is high oleic sunflower oil somehow better for you than regular used sunflower oil?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay out of the oil thing and send everyone back to like Zoe Harcombe and lipid lunacy and the stuff that was written in the first cholesterol book, because there's some Fred Kummerow in there, but those guys are solid in what they're talking about. And go back to basics and don't use me for that. Maybe there is some advantage, but it's fundamentally no longer where my head's at. But I'll share this with you: the limitations for rapeseed in animal feed throughout Europe and the United States, throughout the world, and that's what we get canola oil from. And the limitations on the size plot that you can grow rapeseed for canola use is limited because it kills all the rabbits and deer that rely on it. And we cold press it and sell it to humans. And so Fred Kummerow was right. He's the god of this stuff as far as I'm concerned. He lived to be 100-something and fought legally and scientifically the effects of polyunsaturated oils throughout his life. You know, he was the worst thing that ever happened to margarine was this man, and his story is one of genius and heroism. So if we want to get into the oils, I'd go back to that crowd and look at what they've done, and the Japanese research on the impacts of polyunsaturates is pretty powerful.
I correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, my wife, we don't do any sunflower oil in the house, and I think that in general, if you're going to cook with oils, you should stick with low temperatures and stick with tallow, right? I mean, if you want to be safe and get some basic shit going.
I love the butter olive oil mix, both for flavor and what I presume to be its safety.
Oh, you just got a what did I see you open the other day at your house? You open that box, you're like, oh, Sebi, look at my your egg poacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing looks dope. Have you used that yet?
Yeah, I used it yesterday. It's I've had others. This isn't my first egg poacher, and I grew up with poached eggs. So basically, I was getting that to make the point to the missus that poaching eggs and swirling water with vinegar one at a time is like goes nowhere fast. I feel like every time I order a poached egg, there's someone in the kitchen pissed.
Why? Because it's a pain in the ass to make?
Yeah, you got to swirl the water and add the vinegar, and it's you can get good at it, but it is a one at a time thing.
What do you mean vinegar? What do you use vinegar for in poached eggs? I don't know my poached egg. I thought you just crack it. You just put a little butter in that thing, crack the egg in it, and when
that's in the egg poacher, but the authentic poached egg is done in water.
Just in a cup of water?
No, in a small pot of boiling water, and you add an eighth teaspoon or something of vinegar and a little salt, and bring it to a boil, and you get it swirling, and then you coddle the egg, set it into the funnel of the swirling water, and you only lose a quarter of the white if you're a Jedi.
Wow.
And then you got to do it again and change the water for every couple of eggs. And like there's no one that wants to do that back in the kitchen. I'm sure of that.
Oh yeah, let me see this. I've never seen. I didn't know. I thought every poached egg person used one of those little contraptions you had.
No.
Oh shit! Wow. I had no idea.
Oh, that's the non-swirling. I'm interesting.
So that's water. He's pointed out that's water and vinegar that's sitting in.
Yeah.
Fresh eggs are best for poaching. All right, fresh eggs are best for everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wow. All right, I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure my approach is the barbarian one, but it's cool. I can get 6 eggs perfectly lightly poached at once.
Greg got it right. Oh, you already knew the answer to your question. It was a test.
Or his last name pronunciation.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good. What did you say his last name was, Greg?
Panakuski. Yeah.
So you know words and you can read good. That's always helpful.
It's Polish like English that some of the art is like not trying to catch every letter. right?
Not trying to catch every letter.
Well, like Worcestershire. They tell me that's Worcestershire. Tell me how you see that on the label. It's kind of hard. Like sounding it out isn't always your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
Kummerow, I can't say enough good things about that man. Absolutely stunning career. He
Spell it
sued
for
the FDA. You just held up his book, Krummerow. But he was a PhD DVM, a veterinarian, I believe. And his suit that he filed against FDA and CDC are just absolute genius. And he won them. And as soon as they would handshake, he'd turn around and sue again. But he sued to get these oils removed from generally regarded as safe. And as soon as they agreed to that, then he sued them to have them banned. And it was kind of like I would think a legal oversight that okay, we're going to settle this thing, and part of the agreement is you're not going to turn around and sue me again. But he fucking did. And so the fact that these things got removed from generally recognized as safe, and then eventually on a timetable where they thought would be long past his life expectancy, they are coming off. It will be no longer legal to sell margarinated products. And
He died at
Kummerow
102.
did all of that.
Did you meet him, Greg?
No, but I'd like to have.
He passed?
Yeah.
102.
Wow.
I think he just died in 2017. If I saw.
Wow.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah. Crazy respect for the guy. An unchanging message of 65 years. Perfectly correct. While your pediatrician was, my pediatrician was telling my mom we need to have non-fat milk and drink margarine, this guy is saying it's going to kill people. Imagine how well that went over.
Right.
Yeah.
God,
But he was
margarine
right.
huge.
He was right.
The TV was inundated with margarine commercials. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Hey, margarine was just garbage, right? It was a byproduct.
Yeah, it's worse. It's deadly.
Holy shit. We ate so much margarine at my house.
Yeah.
It came in the plastic tub, right?
We did Imperial. It was ours.
Yeah, I think that's what we did too. Jody Lynn, finally, cooking tips from the boss. And Maggie's been doing carnivore, right? Your wife's been doing carnivore.
Yeah. Good on her.
Yeah.
See, we're doing the grass-fed.
Why are you laughing?
I fucking hate grass-fed beef.
Oh, she's going fully into it.
I was given a taco last night, and I went by it. I'm like, what kind of meat is this? And she's, why? And I'm ready for anything, right? It could be armadillo. It's all good now. Organs, anything goes.
Armadillo.
But no, it's like it tastes like fish. She goes, yeah, I noticed that. I go, grass-fed beef. She goes, yeah, it tastes like fish to me. I may not have noticed. I may have just called it gaminess, but my Swedish friends turned me on to reindeer. And reindeer tastes like mackerel. I mean, it tastes like fucking fish. And I go, it's all they only eat high chlorophyll containing. I'm like, all right. Grass-fed beef tastes like fish to me. And I'm generally I'm not really excited by the fish taste at some point with fish, but with the ruminants, I have a lower threshold of interest.
You live with shifting subject here. You live with 4 kids. They're yours. You got Maggie pregnant, and she gave you 4 kids, and you live in very close quarters wherever you go. You've been traveling with them now, basically since you sold the company, nonstop. You've been with them. You homeschool them. They're like an enormous part of your life. It's like I can tell it's been a massive shift for you that you fully have embraced.
It's as rewarding a thing as I've ever done.
You just took 18 days off them. I've never seen you be away from your kids like more than a couple days since you've had this last batch. What was that like when you saw them again? 18 days seems like crazy long time to be away from your kids.
dude, the first 5 days were really, really rough. And then the next 10 were kind of blissful. And then there was 3 days of missing him again as we're coming back into orbit. But like all travel, it's blast off and re-entry are kind of rough, right?
Right. Yep.
Psychologically even.
Yep.
And so like we're in a re-entry phase. But to not have seen mom bullied for a couple of weeks to get a whopping dose, like,
Oh, they just saw mom and just latched on. Mom, this. Mom, give me this. You just watch.
yeah, you know, just tiny things, but it's all good. It's great. I you can't live with them, can't live without them, right? It's great.
Did they look? Do they all seem older to you in 18 days? Are you like, whoa?
You know, they've been around other kids, and so you get reminded of that, you know.
Like stuff they've learned from those kids, behaviors.
Riley got upset at Rhett touching something eating pomegranates with his fingers out of her container, and she says there's boogers and who knows. She said probably anal relaxation ointment on your fingers.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, this is from a 10-year-old I haven't seen in 2 weeks. And now we baked anal relaxation ointment. I had no idea there was such a thing.
I had no
but
idea.
Of course
either.
there is now is leveled as a common insult on a 9-year-old. And so like, yeah, I mean, it's like, this is some of this shit. I'm an old guy. I'm going to have to like, you know, I'd like to know a little more, but not a lot. Right.
Yeah. Part of you is like, you want to ask her where she learned that from, but then also you don't. You don't want to like open up the book.
Right? There's none in my cupboard, you know, like, but
right.
This is weird. Like, it sounds like a specific product. Now I'm tempted to go on Amazon, but like, I'm going to come over and use your computer.
Yeah, right. Caleb, anal relaxation.
I'm on it.
The fuck is that? And like, of course, I'm thinking, I hope they didn't have this shit at Nani and Poppy's house. Like, someone got in the cupboard. What's going on? Is this a TV show? Other kids, the cousins.
Those are pretty strict grandparents. They have pretty strict grandparents, though, right? Oh shit! Anal relax cream. Wow.
Of course.
Wow.
She called it ointment. I've never heard her use the word ointment before.
Right.
Ointment.
Backside cream.
Yeah, you think it's no. This is like the Buttery Boys. That's what I took away from them, right? Like, wow, they're full. They're just open.
Right. Have you seen Buttery Boy cream, Caleb, on Amazon?
Dude, that is a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing.
I checked. So if they're the Buttery Boys, it's hard. Hey, they're good Mormons. It's a hard thing to do this, to make that kind of jump. But when you see ointment, you know that's like there's a thing. There's ointment. No one's making shit up with the word ointment. Damn it. So yeah, we should have taken the kids with us, maybe. She's not asking me to explain it either, which is a little like, damn it.
There's this song. There's an artist named Lil Dicky, and he has a song called Freaky Friday where he switches places with a black rapper. I'm trying to remember who it is. It's Chris Brown. Him and Chris Brown switch bodies, like the movie Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
And there's a line in there where Lil Dicky opens up his pants in the video and looks in his pants and he goes, "And I got my dream dick." And the other day I heard Avi must have heard the song, and I heard Avi say that, "And I got my dream dick." And I was like, oh gosh, where the fuck did that come from? How did that one stick? I have to have Haley sing that to me. What's the disclaimer? May cause anal leakage. Like you put too much lube on there. Dude, Greg, this guy Zach Sullivan said the funniest thing in the comments yesterday. I was telling a story about how I was walking with Haley somewhere, and she was on the outside of the street, and some lady came up to me, some old lady in Oakland's like, "Hey, you got your girl walking on the outside of the street. People are gonna think she's a hooker." Zach says it wouldn't matter where I walk my wife, she's always gonna look like a hooker. Like, damn. Oh, savage in the comments.
What was the original thing about people throwing bedpans like slop pots out the window, right? It's why they walked on the outside, or I don't know.
Oh,
Interesting.
I mean,
heard
you're
that
walking
funny
on the
about
street and they didn't have toilets, so people would just throw their shit out the window, and so you walk far away
Yeah.
from it so didn't get wow.
Yeah.
Does Dale Vindicate VNDK8 get your CEO shirts at vindicate.com? Does Doc Spartan make an anal ointment?
No, it looked like he said he was gonna. It was coming soon, though.
Yeah.
Dale said it's coming soon.
Oh, that's right. You went there, Sev, with the guy.
With who? With Dale?
Well, you said that his ointment bothered your asshole.
Oh, his
And I
bar.
think the assumption was that you're
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst relaxation cream I've ever had.
Yeah, he got a bar of soap that's shaped like a grenade and it's green. And I soaped my butt and my fucking genitalia with it, and it tingled like I didn't like it tingling.
There we go.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, and I'm going to guess it was 63, we were driving cross country to go see the grandparents in Alabama, and I went into a Texaco station with your typical everyone shits on the floor look to the place. And someone had scrawled in the vending machine selling condoms, "This is the worst gum I've ever had." They scratched through the paint with that. And,
Oh.
and I was like, I knew then I'm never going to see better graffiti scratched into a bathroom ever.
Oh, I can't text Dale from my fucking computer because he's on a droid. Motherfucker. Dale, I'm going to call you after this. There's something so bad. I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier to share with you. Dale, do you guys sell any tooth cleaning products?
I don't think so.
They don't?
Hey, I got you some EcoDent tooth powder, not to promote that brand over any others, but it's huge. It works great. And I want to make
At
sure
your house
that
now. I'm coming over to get it now.
Yeah, I got some tooth powder for you here, so you can testify to the quality, having tried it. It's because the difference between tooth powder and paste is profound, and you want to be able to figure out that variable a little more independently.
Oh, Dale, I got this crazy idea for you. Great idea. I think it's great. Dr. Broner's peppermint soap is interesting to shower with. Yeah, fuck all those all that tingly shit. I don't want anything tingly.
Doesn't settle well on the backside.
Iota condom gum graffiti carver won the world. Oh,
Yeah.
Will Brandsetter. Sevan's trying to get rid of the gap his smell, you asshole. Oh my goodness. Okay. State of, I think it's Kansas. Some revolutionary shit here going on. Kansas. It's one of the states in the middle of the United States. For those of you who don't know, starts with a K. Here we go.
This has become the first state to pass a bill that defines woman as someone who is biologically born female. That's it. That's what a woman is, which means that this will ban men who identify as transgender women from using single-sex areas designated for women. It's called the Women's Bill of Rights. It was approved by legislators 26-10 on Thursday. Only Republican support there. And the bill defines a female as someone, quote, whose biological reproductive system is developed to produce ova, while male refers to anyone whose reproductive system, quote, is developed to fertilize the ova of a female. This is a beautiful bill because it doesn't just say don't trans the kids. It doesn't just say wait till 8 to introduce kids to transgenderism in schools. Once they turn 9, that's fine. It doesn't just say only minors can't.
Here's what I want to ask you guys. Going back to Caroline's question in the beginning. She said wisdom and intelligence come from maybe understanding or empathizing with others. I do not understand why anyone would vote against that. I can't comprehend why you would be a Democrat or a Republican and not be comfortable with a definition for female. around the ability, as simple as it's the ability to produce eggs, and the male is defined as someone who can impregnate the egg. Like what 10 Democrats voted against that. What? That's a party line issue? How is that a party line issue? And am I smarter if I understand their reasoning?
Yeah, they're funded by big medical, and that's a large profit center when you have surgeries at young ages and hook them for life. And so those Democrats are possibly funded by them and then voted that way.
That's hard for me to swallow. I hear you, but for me, it's like, hey, they want to be nice. They want to be nice, and they think it's offensive to trans people, as opposed to having values and discernment and integrity. They're putting niceness, or what I think what we call political correctness, over just truth. It leads to dysfunction. I wonder if that's 100% of the time it leads to dysfunction.
More divisively, it could be seen as a further divide between parent and kid, which we've seen happen in the public schools, as to now you don't have as much autonomy over your child, especially in the hands of the public school system. So the last thing we watched is like, now they want to media train your kids without your permission or you being around. They're talking about these issues that maybe you're not comfortable with, or the child's age isn't quite there yet, but now we have to learn about sexual identity and what these terms mean and stuff. And then the trans one is just another one, especially when you see it as in extremist states like what we live in, where you could potentially have your kid taken away by Child Protective Services because you're not giving them the care that they are inferring that
you don't want to acknowledge that your dude wants to be a girl.
And so now you're a bad parent.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm not playing dumb at all. I don't understand. I'm not playing dumb at all. I don't understand retard. That was my point. I don't understand retard.
The postmodernism that's coming at us from all directions in the politics and the arts, and in the confusion of the Hamas versus the Israelis, the broken science, the nutrition corruption, all of this postmodernism is irrational and demands in irrational subtext and context for everything. And so it's a war on thought, a war on logic, a war on arithmetic.
Jedediah Snelson comes down to the old adage, you can't fight stupid. Carolyn M. Using some of Broken Science's tools. Think of it as predictability. It's consistently women that only have babies.
I'll place my trust in that predictive value.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be hate speech at some point.
Yeah.
If it's not already.
To say that only women can have babies? Yeah, you know what? In Canada, it might be already.
I'm going to grab some ice. I'm coming right back.
Yeah, yeah. It's too early for ice.
Hey, you know what it reminds me of too? It's like this slow letting out of like what you'll be tolerant and acceptance of when it comes from the government. And a great example to look at is the government forced lockdowns, right? So first it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then it was like, well, we weren't going to make you wear masks. That would be ridiculous. Bye, Fauci. And then as time goes on, now it's, well, you need to keep your business closed for more than 2 weeks, 2 months, in some cases, multiple years. The mask thing not only became a suggestion, but then a mandate, but then you got ridiculed for it because you're a bad person. And then the same exact thing in terms of the vaccine, right? It was going to be there and like help. And then now all of a sudden it was a mandate. And then now all of a sudden you're losing your job from it. So like this slow creep out of what you're willing to tolerate and accept that comes from at that time and still in places now, a totalitarian government. And I think that this is just another one of those slow let outs where how crazy can we go? And if you speak out against it, it's hate speech.
Did you see the clip we played the other day, Susan? I don't know if you were on the show with Tucker Carlson saying that basically these people are so fucking illogical and out there and that basically the truth always prevails. But as we get them further and further into a corner, they'll use by any means necessary of keeping control. I think that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the story, that they will start using violence.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be able to justify their position. They won't logically be able to explain it, so they'll resort to violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where the stacking bodies like cordwood comes into place.
And it always leads there, right? That type of mentality, the totalitarianism, the censorship, the fact that we have thought police, we have speak police, we're changing definitions of words, like all that leads to the stacking of the bodies.
Yeah, go play a little bit of this. I think Greg will like this. I think let's play a little. Thank you, Caleb, for finding this so quick.
Woman who is running for president, Nikki Haley, explaining that because of these attacks on October 7th, the rest of us need to register with the government in order to express our opinions online.
This isn't it. She's crazy. She's crazy anyway. Listen, I haven't heard this. IOTA, you all see the uproar with the Army ads 2 years ago. It was all racial and gender diversity. And now that there's a real war, all the ads just have white dudes in them.
I don't think it's because there's a real war. I think it's because we have no retention, and they just kicked out a shitload of people because of COVID.
Oh,
they're hiring them back.
They're trying to hire them back because they kicked out. I don't remember exactly the number, but they kicked out a lot of people because they wouldn't take the vaccine, and now they're saying you don't need it. You can come back in. We'll take you, but most of them probably aren't going to come back anyway because they know it's going to happen again at some point.
Damn.
Here's you want to pivot to some other fucking wild shit. Here's a good one too. I don't buy this wholeheartedly, but there's some good meat in here. Here we go.
Are two strange things about the 2020 U.S. election that most people didn't know. As per 538.com, Trump, with some margin for error, won the in-person vote in every single U.S. state, even deeply Democratic ones like Biden's home state of Delaware. Every single one. Whereas Biden won the mail-in vote in every single U.S. state, even deeply Republican ones. And in 2020, mail-in ballots, where no one had to show up to verify their identity, went from 29 million in 2016 to 66 million in 2020. Such a stark difference in who wins the in-person or mail-in vote seems unlikely to occur naturally, but you decide.
So you could argue that the reason why it went from 20 million to 70 million mail-in votes is because of COVID. But it is fucking fascinating to know that Trump won every single state if you just counted the in-person voting. It's fucking nuts. It's nothing conclusive, but it's frustrating. You think they steal the? If there's an honest election, who do you think wins, Greg, between those two guys?
Now?
Yeah, honest election, like a fair election.
Trump.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think happened? Let me play devil's advocate here. What about all the traditional people who are supposed to hate him? What about like all the septum pierced people, the black people, the poor people? Although what's interesting is that social media is inundated with young black men who say they're voting for Trump.
Several black pundits weighed in that his being arrested was going to win him the black vote.
Oh, like now they can identify with them because so many blacks are like 1 in 4 black men are arrested or some shit.
You had to look to avoid that claim. You had to look away to avoid that. We talked about it.
And you think that there will be a fair election? I don't. Fair enough. I guess fair enough.
I don't think the left would think that dumping 1 million illegal ballots into the system is unethical. I think that their ideology is more important than the fairness of any election. I think their interest in democracy only extends to a political system that actually removes rights. I find that all those that talk democracy do so because they don't want to admit that there's something more important than whether you vote or not, and that's what your rights are. I think the left is willing to use the ballot to remove my right to free speech, to remove my right of assembly, to remove my right to bear arms, to remove my rights to unreasonable search and seizure. I think their favorite tool to do that would be the ballot box. I'm afraid of all of this talk from the Democrats about democracy, democracy, democracy. And the things that are a threat to democracy include anything that's a threat to their socialist ideology. It's pretty transparent to me. Which is more important to you, the right to vote or the right to your property, your free speech, your life? Socialism is A and B deciding what C does for D. That's a democracy. That's voted. A and B deciding what C does for D.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Got that out of National Review in 1982. I also learned in 1982 that the holy grail for political tyrants is a voiceless constituency. And so there's nothing better than to represent Gaia, Mother Earth, the environment.
Who said
Because
that?
no one's ever in a position. It was pointed out by William F. Buckley in National Review that the voiceless constituency is the thing of all political tyrants. That's what they want. A constituency that can't say, you don't represent me. What do you mean? It's like, look, I'm representing the earth.
Right. Right. Like taking
Who's going to say I'm doing it?
fallacy of taking the moral high ground. Wow.
It's transparent for what it is.
Hey, I was thinking yesterday. So these people who own these CrossFit gyms, these affiliates,
Yeah.
they're the owners, right? And so when you owned CrossFit, they had something deeply in common with you. Deeply in common with you, because you were an owner too, right? And now I'm wondering how that affects. They don't have something deeply in common with their new owner, with their new leader. Their new leader doesn't. You had skin in the game. You had money, ego, and responsibility, right?
I knew there was one thing I could offer, and it came down to four varieties, and that was leadership. And that was through the education, validation, defending against legislation, and offensive litigation. That those are those things that demonstrated leadership, and there were things of value to the affiliate that she could not do for herself. And I've used myself as the example because I had an affiliate. I mean, I was the first CrossFit gym. And I had to offer and do everything that from that position, the only one on earth, all by myself, would I have participated? Would I participate in the affiliation program as constructed? Yes. I'd have flown the flag. You could have called it something else. Would I have paid for that seminar? Eagerly. And outside of that, it's all unrecognizable to me. It's like Kentucky Fried Fitness. You know, I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to be told what hat to wear. I want to experiment in my programming and in my approach to the movements.
Oh.
I have to. That's the only way I'm going to keep learning. I'm not going to keep learning by trying to fuse my learning with someone else's corporate message. You know, I gave that theoretical template for programming, and what I liked about it and the challenge at the time was I have used a mechanical instrument to program, try to find the 3-week period where that was done in the past 2 years, I think it was. See if you can. You can, but I did. It was machine generated. I even later gave the clue as to how it is you might find it. Never intending for someone to use it. some of the things you encode, you expand your thinking about them.
Say that last part again.
The ultimate value often for encoding something is not that the algorithm works and now we got it and this is great, but it refines your thinking. It's kind of it's a good development tool for yourself. In fact, I think it was that parsing, that creation of the theoretical template for programming that opened me up to the tweaking the definition of functional fitness away from universal motor recruitment patterns, away from that into this efficient, effective, eventually becomes power, and eventually includes non-universal motor recruitment patterns. We talked about that last week, I think it was, about the role of rowing and cycling. What they shared with squatting and throwing was not the universal motor recruitment pattern, because they are unique to those movements. But what it does is they are consistent in their ability to express power. That was discovered through the brutality of the feeling, through the sensory system. This rowing is fucked up shit. You know, I got to get one of these things. Well, why does it feel fucked up? What is that mechanism? And its ability to express power. It also, I'm convinced, relates to ability to bring down O2 set to unbearable levels. Remember me pushing for someone to test that? I just didn't have the time myself. It's like I shouldn't have to roll up my fucking sleeves and get the O2 sat meter and do this thing. Had guys like Hackelman, who was a surgical nurse. Not many people know that about him. That probably the greatest American trainer of MMA talent, or one of the greatest, was also a surgical nurse. And he had to point out to me that it's hypercampia that drives you to unconsciousness and discomfort, not lowered O2. In fact, whatever.
God, what a badass Hackelman is. What a fucking legend. 10th degree black belt, then invents his own martial art, then beats up Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell comes and he makes Chuck a champion. And then fucking 20 years fucking after that, he has Glover Teixeira become the super heavyweight champion of the world. Or light heavyweight champion. Light heavyweight champion. It was super heavyweight. Either way, fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. Hey, Greg, I know we're running 97 minutes. I want to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
.com has a daily workout of the day. They now have something called guest programmers, where they program for 2 weeks and then they switch programmers. And I believe, let's go under the assumption that they're not given any direction. They're just like, okay, can you do the programming for 2 weeks? My thought is that when you do this, because of the implications of changing the programmer every 2 weeks, that .com is no longer a program to follow, but rather a program just to see different kinds of programming. But I wouldn't, because 2 weeks isn't enough for a programmer to lay out the ideal GPP plan. Am I off base? You agree?
See, I'm following. I mean, I don't have an argument against that.
Okay.
I would want more than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, there's assumption that it can be evaluated just by kind of staring at it, and I may have that ability, so I don't know how to speak against it.
Right.
You know, here's what I'm left with. You show me 2 weeks, and I got to assume that's all you got to show me.
Yeah.
That what I'd expect is the pattern has been set. Otherwise, you go, there's no way. I can't do it in 2 weeks. I don't get to my mesocycle or whatever the fuck your thing is.
Right. And any
Guys, it's nice to be out of that world. I gotta tell you.
hey, what about Tyson? Your thoughts? I know
You know what? I'm in a field where blondes from Iceland have no opinion.
should have no opinion or have no opinion.
They don't. They've already. Those people fell asleep.
Oh, in your field, gotcha. Yeah.
You know, the broken science is kind of neat. It's only the grown-ups are left.
Yeah, that's like when I take my kid to tennis tournaments. I'm in a field where there's only Asians. It's just Asians. Okay. So, on a final note, I know you're not a football connoisseur, but you have become a fan of Tyson Bagent, as the rest of us, as our dear friend Travis's son makes it into the NFL. We saw him play, and now they got Justin Fields back in. I don't know if you saw the game last week, but the Bears were winning, and with 4 minutes left, up by 12, they lost. But Justin was the quarterback. Any thoughts? Do you think that any like?
Well, the defense collapsed, apparently, right?
Yeah.
You blame the quarterback for that. He's up by 12 with 4 minutes left.
Or the coach. A lot of people, the pundits, were blaming the coach and that they were calling the wrong plays. But do you think that there's any concern we should have for Tyson? Like, or do you think like, hey, this is good, he's going to make it through year one into year two? Just your gut feeling from the little you know about football.
I read a comment that said that he's clearly demonstrated his significant worth as a backup quarterback in the NFL. So it sounds like he's landed, which is great. I mean, God, there's step one, right? Year one, make that point.
Mm-hmm.
And tons of greats didn't even play until year three. Like I don't know much about football, but everyone tells me Brady didn't play till year three.
What is he, 23 years old?
Yeah, he's a kid.
He's halfway through puberty.
Yeah, right. And I was asked about that. Like, are you still going through puberty? You still growing? He's like, uh-huh.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Yeah, I would think that you would have to expect improved everything at 27. Everything.
Big Thanksgiving party at your house tomorrow.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm pumped. All right, dude. Thanks for coming.
Grass-fed turkey.
Dude, turkeys don't eat grass. What do they eat? Bug-fed turkey.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Caleb, Matt, it's good to have you both with us here.
Am I going to see you today?
You guys are fun. Yeah, come on over.
Okay, cool. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks, Greg.
All right, guys.
Bye, Greg.
Thank you.
See you, Greg.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Greg Glass.
I had to run to the bathroom.
All right, go ahead. Go for it. I have to pee so bad too. We might not even be here when you get back. Zach Sullivan, as a lifelong Bears fan, and the reason I'm here, I'd love to see more from Tyson. His determination and hard work should translate to more winning. Hope he gets more time. Yeah, I think he will do too. Hey, I wanted to maybe I should wait till the CrossFit Games update show. God, did you see Coffee Pods and Wads? Most recent
review or whatever.
Most recent fake news. Jeez Louise, he is funny.
Isn't he great?
You have to watch it. I have so much trouble understanding him. I have to watch it like multiple times to understand what the fuck is going on.
I watch it multiple times because I find it so funny. I just want to hear the jokes again.
Yeah, you understand? Look at his shirt, Fikowski. I kind of want that shirt.
That's a hilarious shirt.
Have you seen this, Souza? This recent Coffee Pods and Wads?
Oh boy. Yeah, play it.
Look at his Fikowski shirt. Here we go.
Fake news with the Heat One app. Morning Chalk Up have been bought. And no, I'm not talking about the adverts that they run for manscaping products. Barbend.
Okay, I finally got that joke. I didn't get that joke. They've been bought, meaning that you can run an ad and they'll do anything. Okay. First joke. Got it. Okay.
And have purchased the Ailing newsletter in a move that has sparked concern amongst many for Barbend founder David Tao's proclivity for whiskey. But hey, now that the sale has been completed, maybe Chalk Up's former owner can finally return to the office.
Okay, so that's a joke because the Barbend guy is a drunk And LaFranco, the rumor mill has it that got in trouble, was being threatened to be sued by people, including one person for sexual misconduct on the job. And he wasn't allowed back at the morning chalk up. That's the rumor I heard. And so now that it's been sold, he's saying LaFranco's allowed to come back to the office.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Deep inside humor there.
Yeah. Wow.
With media, Brian Friend suffered an identity crisis on air tonight. A concerned Clark watched on from Becky Harsh's recording studio as Brian repeatedly, humbly reminded us of what he isn't.
We are not the morning chalk up. They've just taken my old ideas, and then when I have new ideas, we also are not the barbell spin. Barbell spin is where you can probably go to get the fastest information at a very surface level. We're not the...
Ouch.
Ouch. Thanks.
I went back and watched this whole thing. Because of this piece, I went back and watched this whole fucking 8-minute segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick should have intervened at some point. It's like the 2-minute mark.
Programming specific podcasts. We're not any of these other podcasts. We're not a huge company that has a variety of different writers and people working for them. And we're currently doing a study through our Be Friendly Stats division. We are not.
Oh fuck.
We're not a huge company, but we have a stats division.
So yeah, okay. It took me a few times to get that. Damn.
The Sevan Podcast.
Not Sevan, although he's okay, but doesn't have the historical backup that Brian does.
So the reason why he said that is Patrick Clark started saying something like just chill and benign, like hey, Sevan hasn't done the weekend review yet, and fucking Brian just cuts him off and he goes, well, even if he did, it wouldn't have the historical and deep background. Brian actually kind of went through and took a shot at every single person on our text thread. He took a shot at Chase and Bill. He took a shot at fucking Hiller. He fucking tried to put his fucking 2-inch dick in me. Jesus Christ, Brian. My goodness. We already got one fucking victim mentality shirt for Craig Ritchie. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit.
I mean, that's pretty low-hanging fruit. The dude's on his way to a retirement home and...
The fuck is that? I'm growing that thing back. Oh, my
I
goodness.
don't remember the name of his last guest. In the end, Brian...
Oh.
Oh, God.
My favorite thing is when Sevan says yesterday, and it was like a month ago.
Right.
Pedro's getting good at these.
I'll say to my wife the other day, she's like, that was before we had kids. I go, yeah, that's still accurate. The other day.
The other day. It was the other day.
The other day.
Yeah, that was a weird segment from our homeboy. That was a trip.
Regained composure and threw the collection basket out to fund his global travel and PC's Wi-Fi upgrade from dial-up to, I don't know, 3G maybe. If he's
Does Patrick have bad connection?
Every time.
Oh.
lucky. Meanwhile, Roman Krenikov tested his 3-rep max front squat and Andrew Hiller's patience. And Justin Medeiros decided he can no longer compete for the top spot and is instead planning on moving to the female division for 2024. If you want real news, you can go to the Heat 1 app, where you'll find everything in one convenient pan.
I agree. That is a cool shirt.
The Kowski shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always like your own comment. Oh, God.
Get that tip jar money going.
Hey, Pedro looks better too. Does he have a skin smoother filter or what the fuck's going on?
No, he's got that meat and fruit diet.
That's what he's doing?
Yeah, I think he's been doing it for some time now.
Damn.
I mean, at least a month. I was with him and he stuck to it strict at the Crash Crucible.
Fucking Pedro.
Not me, as he made one of those about me putting fucking donuts and cake into my mouth.
Damn it, Pedro.
All I heard was into my mouth.
In my mouth.
Mason Mitchell, Pedro got off the soda.
Oh, God.
Well, good. The show's over. All right. What is today? Is today Wednesday?
It's Wednesday. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go.
There's it was interesting. I brought up when I brought up the first topics today with Greg. It seemed like he was a bit pensive, right? A little just like thoughtful. And then once we got lighthearted, and then I tried to bring it back to like the male female thing again, and then he retracted again.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to understand the flow of these things a little bit better. Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no guest tomorrow.
Live calling. Well, Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you guys
Indigenous
around?
Peoples Day.
Indigenous people.
Hey, are you guys? Will you guys be here tomorrow morning with me?
Oh, I don't know. We have a workout in the park at 8 a.m.
Okay, let me know. Maybe I'll bug Hunter McIntyre or something.
Okay.
I'm getting on a flight tomorrow, so I won't.
Okay, then maybe I'll grab Hiller and Hunter. I wonder what both of them are doing for Thanksgiving show, wild show.
Wow.
All right. I'm actually really stoked. Greg's in town. He's in town for the next like 6 days. So his kids are here. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, that's cool. You gonna go over there and hang out?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to skate park first though. After 15 years, Sevi is starting to understand Greg. All right. Bye-bye.